All right, try it now.
Check, check, check.
No, but let's get out here and see what the feedback is like.
Check, check, check. Can you hear me, Ken?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Have to turn the on button on. Here we go. Absolutely okay. We don't have to close it. Yeah, that's part of it.
Well, I see your rating there.
I didn't see it there. We've got a video, but I mean, it is what it is. My wife went out there and sent me a video. I said, I couldn't believe she went out there. Aaron, you didn't get wet the other day taking that tree out of Main Street, did you? You didn't get sopping wet and taking that tree off of Main Street the other morning, found out.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That was pretty amazing. I got caught, I left here, and I got caught behind it, but that a guy with the Bobcat on his rollback was right there.
Us here, outside, people that behind us. Cameras there, you know, nothing officers said, well, you don't do, you know,
Yeah.
To spawn.
That was awesome. And it didn't hit anybody or anything, I don't guess. Good.
We're just trying to keep Ken and I hydrated.
Oh, man.
Smart people are that into the room, man. You come out.
Yeah, the
Feel like a fish trying to swim up the water to spawn.
Checking to see who just called in so we can see if you can hear us.
Hello? Hello?
Is that you, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah? Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, I'm going to turn up the volume, but we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Is everybody on? Is everybody at City Hall?
We're here, Fred. Well, we got, Betsy's not here yet. Hello? I'm great. How are you?
Keep close. It's on my desk and take it there. Of course, you see those balls.
Hey, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Ken,
Yes, sir.
is everybody there?
Yes, sir.
What now?
Everybody's here, Mayor.
Oh, okay, are we ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I think everybody knows why we're meeting this afternoon.
Mr. Mayor, can you hear us?
I can hear you now, yes. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, okay. I think everybody knows why we're meeting, this afternoon. I had this call meeting. John reminded me this morning that there's a problem on Chandler Lane, that needs to be talked about, need to be fixed. And, so we're having this meeting so our council can make a decision on this. And John, I would, just put it in your hands now to let us know what's going on and what needs to be done.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to the members of the council. We first want to apologize for calling you in for this session today. I know your schedules are busy, but you will soon hear of the urgency of the matter. And we were made aware of a situation several days ago and done a full evaluation. And our professional staff is here with our city engineer to brief you on the situation. We're not looking for a vote per se from the council today. We simply want to make you aware of the situation that we're facing. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our city engineer, Aaron Wadley. Aaron?
All right, thank you. Before we get started, Aaron's got some pictures that he took. I think would be vital for you guys to see. I'm going to go through those.
So this is the event on Tuesday. This is Counter Lane. So the white car is Colleen's house, just as a reference point. Okay, so this is is it Rosemary? Is that correct?
Yeah, Rosemary.
So Mrs. All right, so this, you see the water meter out, the pile of dirt. So there's a row of hedgerow of Yopon hollies, and to the right of that, we'll see, is where the actual cavity is. So this pile of dirt washed from the cavity out and across her yard, and it was in the road. And what you saw in the previous picture in the road was what came from the cavity that you'll see. Hopefully. All right, so let me just do one. All right, so there's the road. All right, so this is the other side of Miss Rosemary's yard. You see the magnolia tree to the left. All right, the magnolia tree is actually sitting in the cavity that washed from her yard, and you see all the soil that's eroded. Another shot. So the magnolia is now to the left as well. The center hole here is where the pipe was actually has deteriorated and washed away. Another shot from the side of the house in Miss Rosemary's yard. This is just all the sediment and wash, erosion from the yard. All right, now, what you're looking at is the inside of the pipe. So this should be a round pipe, circular. And it's probably the distance of this room. I walked up in the pipe, and it is now egg-shaped, okay? And this is where you see the gray that's dropped down, to the right of that is where that magnolia tree is. So that there was, just wanted to see the inside of the pipe. Another shot of the inside of the pipe. So these are two pieces of pipe that are joined together, and there's a band that goes around and binds the two, okay? It is our assumption that the band failed and the pipes separated, okay? And there's sediment, logs, and debris that are behind this failing of the pipe. Okay, so this is just pictures or reference pictures before we actually start removing material. Just for put back. All right, pipe. So this is after the pipe has been exposed. This is a top view. You saw, so once again, as a reference point, the magnolia was on the left-hand side of this. You saw inside the pipe. This is the top side. So you see daylight down into the pipe. You have two pipes that were tied together, and you see pieces of the band to the left that have failed, and then how the water is just blown away. All the now you can't really see. I wasn't able to take a picture, but if you were to take a horizontal view, the pipe should be like this. They've fallen, and they've actually collapsed. So those are 36 inch diameter? 48 inches in diameter. At that particular point, they are not. So I could not walk past this joint. So I was able to crab crawl up to this point, but they had crushed where I couldn't physically go through them. Just more shots of how the pipe has deteriorated. Okay, so what we did is we just took, this is preventative, get us through today, because we knew this rain was coming. We just cut the top side of the pipe and tried to create a trough. So we went from a pipe to a trough just so the water would continue to flow, okay? Because we didn't want to not allow that to happen with today's event coming. Just another shot. So this is, in front of us is the first pipe. The second pipe was not as exposed as much, so we just cut the top of that off as well. Now you'll see that as well. If you got any questions, just ask away. So logs, debris that we removed from the bottom pipe, as you can see. All right, this, I just wanted a reference point. This is how close we are to the house. This is how close we'll probably be to almost all the houses. So that orange fence, you know, we're probably 10 feet from the front porch. Some of them.
Yeah, the next house down is going to be a lot closer to this.
All right, that's all the pictures that I have. So.
All right, now I provided a letter recommending that this be an emergency project. You all have it in front of you, as well as an engineer's estimate. This is an estimate based on city participation in the repair. We will be looking to hire a contractor. We found somebody already who is, I think, very affordable for the scope of work. I estimated this another way. If we were to bid this out, we would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 would be my expectation. And the city doing some of the work, hauling stone, helping to relay sod, concrete, that kind of thing. After all this is done, is going to save at least $100,000, if not more. But I do believe this is an emergency. I believe that if this project does not move forward, now that there could be structures in danger. Additionally, there is a giant hole in a small yard, and so you've got a safety issue for children, elderly, anybody in the area. This neighborhood, as some of you know, has been troubled for a long time. I've talked to Monica, I've talked to Chuck Gerald, all the staff here about the history of the neighborhood. It's almost in a wetland. Almost the whole neighborhood is built up on a stone mat, and water's been problematic here for a long time. The 48-inch pipe is metal. Metal pipe in a creek will, the sediment in the creek acts like sandpaper and starts to erode it in pretty quick fashion. So that's why 20 years later, we're looking at having to replace it. This probably should have been concrete at the time. Now we can use high-density plastic, which is much better for this kind of situation. It will allow higher flow and will be good forever. So that's the plan moving forward. We're going to upsize 2 sizes, put 60-inch pipe in place if we move forward with this project. Any questions from Mayor or Council?
I would just like, go ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was just gonna ask John, now when this development was built 50 years ago, I know it's probably the city's responsibility, this is an emergency situation. We have to take care of this problem. I was gonna ask our city manager, do we have funds, reserves to take care of a situation like this, John?
We do have funds for stormwater, and we can piece together a solution for this within our existing budget. What I want to make sure everyone understands, though, is that what Aaron Wadley has explained is that this fix is very temporary, and it could go at any time. And that's the emergency nature of here. We've only impacted one person's yard. If we don't fix this, there could be devastating consequences over there to multiple residences. Not just their yards, but maybe a house or two as well. And so this is a rare instance where we're really behind the 8 ball here in terms of getting this done, because we know that one more storm, and I hope it's not what we're seeing right now today, but one more storm could open up that pipe again, and the consequences could be devastating.
I would like to,
So John, do the engineers have a time frame as to how long it would take to get this project done and to get this job done for the residents there in the area?
If we move forward as an emergency, contractor's willing to move as soon as next week. I think he'd like to wait till the week after because of rain events coming in next week. But he's ready to go as soon as we can get pipe delivered. And 400 foot is a lot of pipe, so it'll be several truckloads.
so I have a question as well. I know maybe about a year ago, I know Rick was here. What did we do to this neighborhood about a year ago, and how much responsibility is it on the homeowners as well besides just the city?
Down, I don't know if you, well, you can't see it. So, about a year or so ago, we went in and same contractor, similar situation, put in pipe. That pipe that we installed has held. It's done its job.
Okay.
And so we would just duplicate that process upstream. And so we're using the same type of pipe, this HDP is what was put in. And so we're just going to replicate that back up. Now,
Okay, does any of that fall on the homeowners? Because I know over in Hidden Hills, the same thing was going on for a while. Mr. Ross's house was almost completely destroyed. And it took us about, how long did it take? 2-3 years the water was at his house, and we did not call an emergency meeting, but how much of this is the homeowner's responsibility? Do they have any homeowner's insurance that will cover anything?
I do know, and Jay's on the phone, and he can comment from a legal standpoint.
Yes.
But I do know that when the developer went through the planning process, the city did sign off on it. We were granted an easement, and it's believed that this is the city's pipe.
Okay,
And
as long as that's
so,
what I wanted to know.
I know exactly what you're saying, and there are multiple issues around the city. That's
Yes.
why we're so desperate to adopt a stormwater ordinance and get going on this stuff. But our professional staff has made it very clear to me kind of the unique consequences here, that this is going to be devastating.
Okay.
And the question is, even though this is a lot of money, the question is, what is our liability if we don't
Yes.
fix it? Are we going to be looking at 10 times this amount? And Jay, I don't know if you want to comment, because it kind of is a legal problem, but I agree with staff that, right, for good or bad.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head, John. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Chuck, this is Walter. Yes,
I think what John described is exactly right. This is the $200,000 is a big figure that can quickly grow out of hand if more damage in the area is done. And so it is an emergency, which is why this meeting got called day up, which usually isn't allowed, but the law does allow for emergency meetings in situations like this. And everything that John has told me is that that is our pipe, so it is our responsibility and our liability.
Okay, thank you.
so my question will be back to our city manager and to our council members. And when we have emergency situations like this, you know, we have to go into funds that was set aside. So, John, we had talked about increasing our taxes before this last election. Now, just a question to you before you start your budget process. During this time and when we have emergency situations like this, is this the time when we need to really think about increasing our taxes for our residents in our city?
Well, what many other cities do, Mr. Mayor, and what I've proposed in last year's budget is that we create a stormwater ordinance that is specifically for this issue, with a funding source through a fee that is collected through the water bill. That's what's missing here. It's normally not a property tax that pays for this, it's a utility tax. It's either the water or sewer rates, or in this instance, this is stormwater. So we take care of our water issues with the water rate, we take care of our sewer issues with the sewer rate. We don't have a stormwater program. And this is just a perfect example of how we need to create one, start collecting the money and putting it aside for these very reasons. And as Council Member Peters Reed mentioned, we've got other projects that need to be addressed as well. This is just a wake-up call. But I agree with our professional staff. This is one that we can't wait on, because the result of no action is going to be catastrophic.
Thank you.
I think it was before Ed was, I was just going to say, before you were on the council, I believe we had a presentation from that David Nunn put together for setting up a stormwater utility district, which we listened and it made some sense, but we didn't act at that time. But I'm sorry, Ed.
No, it's okay. My mic wasn't on. I was screaming. I got a quick question for John. Typically, when a developer does this kind of a project and he puts the streets and the roads in, he's required to have a bond. Do we know anything about that bond and whether it can be used?
Right, so I'll answer that for John. So the bond is only during the period of construction until the time where we accept it and we start managing the facility. And so I was going to speak up. I know we're kind of past Carrie's question, but the difference between the previous concern that we had and this one is the previous concern was adjacency to a state water. That's not a city-owned facility. Once the developer either builds a road or they build a stormwater pond or a stormwater pipe, when we approve those, after the bond ceases, those actually become ours. Now, what I would say here that answers your question directly that I haven't done yet is that David wasn't high on bonds. He didn't really like to do them, and we didn't have a lot of developers running around all over the place. And usually development happened within a short period of time. You didn't have a lot of stuff go belly up. So we don't have any current bond on hand for this development. This was developed 20 years ago. We have been maintaining this facility, so there's no doubt that it is actually a city-owned facility at this point. So we don't have a bond on hand. And we would be requiring HDP now if it were going through subdivision review now. But this is, we've got old pipes in the ground, and you're going to see this just like on Crawford Street. That's the only other time I can really think of where we had a imminent collapse of a stormwater facility.
Thanks, Monica.
I have a question, if I may. So Aaron, so I drove by and I saw that enormous pit. And my question is it stable? I mean, do we have to worry about almost sort of a sinkhole effect at this point?
I'm not sure stable would be the way to describe it, but it's reasonably stable right now. With rain like we're getting at the moment, it can that can change. Aaron and all these guys put up barrier fence around it just to keep pedestrians from walking too close to the hole. And I think we're all looking at it every single day to make sure that nothing changes. So it's a concern, and it's being monitored. And it's one of the reasons we need to move quickly. I do want to say that I've called, today I called GEMA, and just to see if there's any funding, emergency funding. There is no emergency funding unless there's been a federal disaster declared. And we're not going to see enough insurance claims to have a federal disaster in Georgia for Tuesday's event. So there's not going to be any emergency funding for this. There is some grants available for some of the other projects we're looking at. It may make them have a 1 or 2 year timeline. That's something we can look at along with a stormwater utility or stormwater ordinance. That's something I'm starting to put together. We have our consultant in Versus Systems finishing up the survey and mapping of our entire stormwater system right now. Unfortunately, this just happened before we got the data in. But I think we're at a good spot with the hole right now, as long as it's monitored until construction starts. And Alan Ward is ready to go. As soon as the weather clears, he's going to jump out there and start this work. Pipe is available right now, and we shouldn't have any issues getting this started in the next week or two. And so I feel like we're safe, but it will be monitored every day.
Thank you.
So John, do we need the council? I know we can't take any action, but do we need to give Aaron the opportunity to go ahead and order the pipe that they need, and we can act on all of this at a later date?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're mindful that we have another council meeting on 2 February and then a regular meeting right after that. So we will be coming back to you at that time. But the emergency nature of this meeting is just to inform you that it is our belief that we need to move forward and start the process of ordering the pipe and that type of thing. We're obviously going to get the best deals that we can, and the whole team will be working on that. So you can expect there'll be an agenda item to follow this up, and at some point there'll be contracts and that type of thing. But so we're not looking for a vote today. This is big enough that I didn't want any council member not to be aware of it.
Thank you.
I had a question for Aaron.
Okay.
From the time that the existing pipe is taken out and no longer functioning, until the new pipe can be put in and functioning, are we looking at any guesses on 1 day, 2 day, 5 days?
I think as it was explained to us, technically the old pipe's not really going to be fully removed until the new pipe is in. So we're going to make sure that there's really no break in flow. with the-
So you won't need to necessarily find a week of dry weather to accomplish all this?
Well, it's just one of those things where, I mean, we can go down there now and I can dig up everything and make twice the mess. So, I mean, there's a fine line between doing it and making a mess. So we're trying not to make a bigger mess than what we got.
Mr. Mayor, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I would feel more comfortable if we had a vote to say, move forward, because I think you need that protection, okay? We need to make sure that our employees and you guys understand, but I think we need a motion to just move ahead and get going, and that way they know that we're behind it.
Right. I mean, I'm good with that. And we got our attorney on the phone, and Joe, Jay, is this legal that we can go ahead and act on this today? This is an emergency situation?
I think it's fine that you can vote or just give them a head nod to get started. The real thing that probably, and what you're talking about, Councilmember Latham, is giving that protection. But I would do that. The real protection is ratifying whatever contract John enters into on behalf of the city to go ahead and get started with this contractor, and that can be done after the fact. And that's really just giving your blessing after the fact, protecting John, protecting the city. But if you want to vote just to give John the go-ahead, that's fine, but you're not really approving the contract, so to speak. That will be done probably at your next meeting, and it'll be after John kind of enters into that with the contractor.
Mr. Mayor, I understand.
You can vote to tell John that, go ahead. I think a head nod towards him that you all are all on board is just as fine. The real thing is ratifying that contract when it comes back on your agenda.
Right, and I think maybe, and since John and our engineer was saying that this is an emergency situation, and this needs to be done sooner rather than later, at least they could go ahead and order the supplies that they need. So, if we can get a motion from one of our council members and a second, then we can go ahead and allow John to move forward, as he needs to.
Mayor, could I ask Jay a question before you get a motion? As you probably all know, I live on Candle Lane. I'm on the other side from the pipe, but I do live on Candle Lane. Is that a recusal situation for me or not?
No, it's not a conflict for you. You're voting as of any other citizen. It's not benefiting your specific property more than anyone else that lives in that area, so that is not a conflict for you.
Okay, thank you.
And I would just like to conclude that it's these difficult times that you really come to understand the value of our professional staff, Wayne and Rusty and Aaron Tewksbury and Monica. I mean, they stepped up to the plate, and we're very fortunate to have them.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize John and staff to move forward with this, and that we can handle the quote and the money to be spent later.
Second?
And I would just like to say, since I'm not there to see the hand, if each person, after the chair of the motion, if each person would just state their name that they are included, that way we could, the secretary will have the names of each council member, that's an agreement. After hearing the motion and second, are you ready for the vote?
Yes.
Are you ready for the vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All in favor? All in favor, just state your name, please, at this time.
Ed Latham.
Betsy Wagenhauser.
Eric Joyce.
Carrie Peters Reed?
Rick Blanton.
Okay, the vote is unanimously, and that motion is approved. And at that, John, you have the authority to go ahead to do what needs to be done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Yes, so is there anything else that we need to talk about? If not, John, anything else that you need to say, or the engineers need to say to us?
No, I think we're all set. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. All right, thanks everybody for joining in this afternoon, and please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks again.
Thank you, Francis.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Sure.